Reflections by the Window. The Quiet Joys of Andrea Pembrose. In the heart of a quaint village, where cobblestone streets whispered tales of yesteryears, lived Andrea Pembrose. She was an elderly woman, her hair a silver testament to the wisdom gathered through years, and her eyes, a soft hazel, glimmered with a kind of gentle understanding that only comes with age. Her demeanor was as gentle as the early morning breeze that meandered through her small, well-tended garden. Andrea's home was a cozy cottage, nestled comfortably at the edge of the village. It was an abode of comfort and memories, with ivy crawling up its stone walls and a wooden front door that always seemed to welcome with a silent, knowing smile. Inside, the rooms were filled with the warmth of aged oak furniture and walls adorned with photographs. Each picture was a frozen moment, a window to a past filled with love, laughter, and the bittersweet touch of time. The living room, Andrea's favorite, was a symphony of soft colors and comfortable furniture. A plush armchair sat next to a crackling fireplace, where she often nestled with a book in hand. The shelves were lined with tomes of all sizes, each carrying stories from distant lands and times. The room was not just a space, it was a sanctuary where Andrea could lose herself in the tales of others, only to find pieces of herself in them. Every morning, as the village was still draped in the tender arms of dawn, Andrea indulged in a ritual that had become as much a part of her as breathing. She would dress in her favorite attire, a simple yet elegant dress and a cardigan, and step out of her home. The village in the embrace of the early morning was a sight to behold. The golden hues of the sunrise bathed the rooftops, and the air was always fresh with the promise of a new day. Her walk to the cafe was not just a physical journey, it was a passage through a world she loved dearly. She would stroll down the cobblestone streets, each step a familiar echo in the quiet morning. The route was lined with old, sturdy houses that stood like guardians of time, their windows reflecting the changing seasons and the stories of those who dwelled within. As she walked, Andrea would greet the early risers. Mr. Jenkins, the baker, would often be seen dusting flour off his apron, his bakery emitting the irresistible aroma of freshly baked bread. Mrs. Dalton, with her troop of cats, would be tending to her roses, each bloom a testament to her tender care. These were not just neighbors, they were threads in the tapestry of her life in the village. The cafe, her destination, was a quaint establishment at the corner of Maple and Brook Streets. It was a charming place, with an old-world charm that resonated with Andrea's spirit. The cafe's exterior was adorned with flower boxes, bursting with colors, and the gentle chime of the doorbell announced the entry of a visitor like the first note of a long-awaited melody. This daily pilgrimage to the cafe was more than a mere pursuit of a morning beverage. It was a cherished ritual, a silent ode to the joys of the mundane. In the simplicity of this routine, Andrea found a profound sense of peace, a connection to the world around her that was as comforting as the familiar walls of her beloved home. As Andrea approached the cafe, the sun climbed higher, casting a gentle light that seemed to dance upon the village. Each step she took was a quiet celebration of life, a life lived with grace and with gratitude. In this tranquil world of hers, every day was an opportunity to embrace the beauty of the ordinary, to find joy in the gentle unfolding of another day. As Andrea Pembrose continued her serene walk towards the cafe, the world around her gently awakened. The village, with its timeless charm, revealed subtle changes that Andrea observed with a quiet, appreciative gaze. It was a canvas that evolved each day, yet retained its comforting familiarity. The cobblestone streets, worn smooth by countless footsteps of the past, seemed to retain memories of the village's history. Andrea walked along them, her own steps adding to the symphony of soft clinks that accompanied each passerby's journey. These stories, these stones, she thought, were silent keepers of stories, witnessing the ebb and flow of life in this quaint village. As she passed by the local florist, Mrs. Thompson, a relatively new addition to the neighborhood, was arranging a kaleidoscope of flowers outside her shop. The vibrant colors of dahlias, roses, and sunflowers created a visual melody that brightened the street corner. Andrea smiled at Mrs. Thompson, who returned the greeting with a cheerful wave. The florist, with her youthful energy and passion for nature, had brought a new life to this corner of the village, a change that Andrea found delightful. Further down the street, a gentle rustling of leaves created a soothing rhythm. The old oak trees that lined the avenue were like wise elders, their branches swaying in the soft morning breeze. The leaves whispered secrets in a language known only to the wind, casting dappled shadows on the path below. Andrea paused for a moment, closing her eyes to fully immerse herself in the symphony of nature. The cool shade provided a pleasant contrast to the warm sunbeams that occasionally peeked through the foliage. The aroma of freshly baked bread wafted through the air as Andrea neared Mr. Jenkins' bakery. The scent was a nostalgic reminder of many mornings past, a fragrance that seemed to embody the essence of comfort. Peering through the bakery window, she saw Mr. Jenkins skillfully sliding loaves of bread into the old stone oven. His movements were a dance of tradition and skill, a ritual perfected over many years. Andrea's mouth watered slightly at the thought of the warm, crusty bread, a staple in many of the villagers' homes. As she continued her walk, Andrea noticed small changes that marked the passage of time. A new coat of paint on the hardware store, a young couple moving into the house at the end of the street, children playing hopscotch on the sidewalk, each a small thread in the ever-evolving tapestry of the village life. These changes were gentle reminders of the continuity of life, of the old making way for the new, and the new respecting the old. The warmth of the morning sun enveloped Andrea, its rays like gentle caresses on her skin. She felt a deep connection to this moment, to the sun that rose faithfully each day, bringing light and life to her beloved village. The sky above was a clear azure, dotted with a few wispy clouds, drifting lazily, as if they too were enjoying the tranquility of the morning. Andrea's pace was leisurely, her steps unhurried. She had all the time in the world and she intended to savor every moment of this walk. Each sight, each sound, and each scent added to the rich tapestry of her morning journey. It was a walk she had taken countless times, yet each time it held new wonders, subtle changes that kept the experience fresh and meaningful. As the cafe came into view, Andrea's heart filled with a sense of contentment. The sight of the quaint establishment, with its cozy ambiance, and the promise of a delightful cup of coffee, was the culmination of her morning ritual. It was a place where time seemed to slow down, where the simple pleasure of a coffee could be elevated to a moment of pure bliss. This was more than just a destination, it was a part of her, a sanctuary where she could bask in the beauty of the present, surrounded by the comforting embrace of the village she called home. Upon reaching the quaint cafe, Andrea gently pushed open the door, greeted by the familiar chime that sang like an old friend, welcoming her. The warm, inviting scent of coffee and pastries enveloped her, a comforting embrace that she looked forward to every morning. The cafe, with its rustic charm and ambient murmur of soft conversations, felt like a second home. However, today, something was different. Andrea's usual spot, a cozy corner table adorned with a vase of fresh flowers, was occupied. For a fleeting moment, she felt a ripple of discomfort, an unexpected disruption in her cherished routine. The table was her anchor in this little world, a spot where she had spent countless hours lost in thought, watching life unfold outside the cafe windows. Yet, undeterred, Andrea scanned the room and chose a new spot by a large window overlooking the village street. As she settled into her new vantage point, her initial unease slowly melted away. The world outside the window was familiar, yet from this new angle, it seemed to unfold with a different rhythm. The change in perspective was subtle, but profound. From here, Andrea could see the village square, a lively tableau of daily life that she had never observed so closely. She watched as people passed by, some in a hurry, some leisurely strolling, each absorbed in their own world. A group of children played near the fountain, their laughter echoing through the air, pure and unburdened. An elderly couple sat on a bench, hands entwined, in a silent testimony to enduring love. The window framed scenes of life like moving paintings, each moment a fleeting masterpiece. Andrea was captivated by this new world, one that had always been there, yet had gone unnoticed. The sight of a young woman stopped to smell the roses in Mrs. Dalton's garden, a father lifting his child to watch a passing parade, the graceful flight of a bird across the clear blue sky. Each scene was a reminder of the beauty and simplicity of everyday moments. This shift in perspective brought a newfound appreciation for the world around her. Andrea realized that change, often daunting, could also be a source of wonder and discovery. It reminded her of the words of an old friend. Life is about embracing the new views it offers, for each one holds its own treasures. Here, in this new spot, she found a treasure trove of unnoticed details, each adding depth and color to her understanding of the village she loved. As she sipped her coffee, Andrea felt a sense of gratitude for this unexpected change. The coffee seemed to taste richer, infused with the essence of new experiences. She savored each sip, allowing the warmth and flavor to linger, a sensory reflection of her inner contentment. Outside, the sunlight danced on the cobblestones, casting a golden glow that seemed to highlight the beauty of the village. Andrea watched as the shadows played on the facades of the buildings, creating a dynamic interplay of light and dark. She noticed the intricate details of the architecture, the craftsmanship of the stone masons, and the way the plants in the window boxes added a burst of life to the stone structures. In this moment of quiet reflection, Andrea understood that life was an ever-changing tapestry, each thread woven with experiences both familiar and new. Embracing change was not just about adapting, it was about growing, learning, and finding joy in the unexpected. The cafe, once a place of comfort in its predictability, had now become a space of discovery and wonder. Andrea felt a deep sense of peace, her heart full of the simple yet profound joy of seeing the world through a new lens. This was not just another day. It was a gift, an opportunity to explore the uncharted territories of her own village, to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. In the warm embrace of the cafe, with the world outside continuing its gentle ebb and flow, Andrea Pembrose sat by the window, cradling her cup of coffee. Each sip was a comforting ritual, the rich aroma and taste grounding her in the present. She gazed out, her thoughts meandering like the lazy clouds in the sky, each one holding a story, waiting to be told. As she enjoyed her coffee, more mindful than ever of her surroundings, Andrea noticed the soft hum of conversations around her. The cafe was a symphony of human connections, each table a microcosm of shared experiences and emotions. She found comfort in this tapestry of voices, a reminder that she was part of something larger, a community woven together by shared moments and spaces. At the table next to her, a gentleman sat alone, his eyes lost in the pages of a well-thumbed book. He was a familiar face in the cafe, though they had never spoken. Today, something prompted Andrea to break the silence between them. Perhaps it was the new perspective she had gained, or simply the human desire for connection. She turned to him and remarked on the beauty of the day, a simple observation that opened the door to a conversation. The man, whose name she learned was Henry, looked up with a smile, his eyes twinkling with a friendly light. They began to chat, first about the weather and the village, then delving into deeper, more meaningful topics. Henry, much like Andrea, had lived in the village for many years. He shared stories of the past, of the changes he had seen, and the constants that had remained. Andrea listened intently, her heart warmed by the shared memories of their beloved village. In return, she shared her own experiences, her walks, her love for the cafe, and the new insights she had gained that very morning. Their conversation was a gentle stream of anecdotes and reflections, each adding a layer to their understanding of each other and the world around them. Andrea found a kindred spirit in Henry, someone who appreciated the nuances of life, who saw the beauty in the ordinary. They laughed softly at shared jokes, their laughter blending seamlessly with the ambient sounds of the cafe. This interaction, unplanned and spontaneous, brought Andrea a profound sense of joy and connection. It was a reminder of the beauty of human interaction, of the richness that comes from sharing stories and wisdom. In Henry, Andrea found not just a neighbor, but a friend, someone with whom she could share the tapestry of her life. As they talked, Andrea felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The conversation was not just an exchange of words, it was a bridge between two souls, a mutual understanding that transcended age and time. It was a celebration of the human experience, a testament to the fact that no matter how much the world changes, the need for connection, for sharing, and understanding remains constant. Their conversation meandered from topic to topic, each finding joy in the simple act of sharing. They discussed books they had read, the changing seasons, the small joys of everyday life. Andrea spoke of her garden, of the flowers she nurtured, and Henry shared his passion for painting, how he captured the essence of the village on his canvas. As their coffee cups emptied, they both felt a sense of gratitude for this unexpected meeting. It was a gentle reminder that life is full of surprises, that new experiences and friendships can blossom in the most familiar of places. The clock in the cafe chimed, marking the passage of time. But for Andrea, time seemed to stand still in this moment of connection. As they parted ways, promising to continue their conversation another day, Andrea felt renewed appreciation for the cafe, not just as a place for coffee, but as a space where lives intersected, where stories shared, and where the heart found joy in the simple act of being present. Andrea Pembrose. As she left the cafe, the sun was now higher in the sky, bathing the village in a warm golden light. The door chimed softly behind her, a gentle farewell from a place that had, once again, enriched her day. Walking back home, she felt a lightness in her step, a contentment in her heart that came from the simple yet profound joys of the day. The village streets, now more awake and lively, greeted her with the familiar sights and sounds of daily life. Children playing in the park, neighbors chatting over garden fences, the rhythmic tapping of the cobbler at his work, each a comforting reminder of the vibrant community she was a part of. Andrea took in these scenes with a renewed sense of appreciation, her recent conversation with Henry adding depth to her perception of these everyday moments. As she strolled, Andrea reflected on her day. It had begun like any other, with the routine she cherished, yet the unexpected change of her usual cafe spot had unfolded into a beautiful tapestry of new experiences. She pondered how a simple shift in perspective had opened her eyes to the wonders that lay hidden in plain sight. Life, she mused, was full of such hidden treasures, waiting to be discovered if one only took the time to look. Reaching her home, Andrea felt a deep sense of gratitude wash over her. The familiar sight of her cozy cottage, with its ivy-clad walls and welcoming front door, filled her with a sense of belonging. She paused for a moment at the entrance, taking in the beauty of her garden, where flowers bloomed in a riot of colors. The bees hummed softly, busy in their daily dance. Inside, the tranquility of her home embraced her. She took a moment to sit in her favorite armchair, allowing the peace of the space to envelop her. The room, with its soft hues and comfortable furnishings, was a sanctuary where the worries of the world seemed to dissolve away. Here, surrounded by her beloved books and cherished memories, Andrea felt profound connection to the past and a hopeful embrace of the future. As the day gave way to evening, Andrea began her simple yet sacred evening routine. She lit a few candles, their flickering light casting a soft, warm glow around the room. Preparing a light supper for herself, she chose to dine by the window, where she could watch the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange, pink, and purple. The beauty of the twilight hours was not lost on her. It was a daily masterpiece, a reminder of the world's natural artistry. After her meal, Andrea settled into her armchair once more, a cup of herbal tea in hand. She reflected on the conversation with Henry, on the beauty she had witnessed from the new window seat, and on the simple yet profound joy these experiences had brought her. Her life, rich in years and experiences, was still capable of surprising her, still full of moments that could bring new insights and happiness. The evening stretched on, the silence of the house a comfortable, familiar presence. Andrea felt a deep sense of peace, a contentment that came from a day well lived and a life well loved. She thought of the morrow, of the walks she would take, the people she would meet, and the new perspectives she might gain. Life was a continuous journey, and she was grateful for every step. As she prepared for bed, Andrea's heart was full of gratitude for the simple pleasures of life. A good conversation, the beauty of nature, the comfort of home. She lay down, her mind at ease, and her spirit light. Sleep came gently, like a soft blanket, wrapping her in dreams woven from the day's simple joys. In this peaceful slumber, Andrea Pembrose rested, her heart and mind in harmony with the world and with herself, ready to greet another day with open arms and an open heart. This was Reflections by the Window, The Quiet Joys of Andrea Pembrose, by Mike Thacker, with ChatGPT 4.